Hello everyone, how y'all doing? PS here with another Warzone surviving quick match video series. Let's go over a couple more games and see how my elo has been changing lately. I've been doing okay. I had a couple of setbacks, but I've been doing all right. Just you see, I pretty much won everything. I lost against Schwartz, which was deserving. He won that one well. I wanted to show this game event against Risky Business, which was a very close matchup, and it's on Biomes. I'm not that big of an expert on Biomes. You can see the layout here. It was very hard to pick for it because there were so many red territories that had double picks on it. These two were clearly high priority, and then you also had California that was available, and the East Coast was not without any pick whatsoever, but it had two picks on the Woodlands coast. So it was very hard to decide what to go through here. I tried to have like a dominance in Lima, and then if he would have Llanos, that would be all right somehow because I would have like one single border to try to contest him somehow. That's why I gave it more priority, and then I went for Sao Paulo and Rio as the combo, and then late counters for it, and focusing on California and Hawaii to get California faster and be able to manage the brawl. I did a 7 and 8 on the Woodlands coast to get this +2 or make my way through the East Coast. I wasn't quite sure what to do there. I was pretty sure that I would end up contesting it, like splitting it against Risky Business, and someone would have to eliminate someone from there. I don't know if these are the best picks. We can take a look at his picks real quick as well. You can see that he went for 1-2, similar to mine, but reverse order. Then 3-4, also the same mine, and the fifth. So he actually wanted to counter directly and also get position. And this fifth, I think it's pretty much okay. It's acceptable. Pampas is a really good territory to have, and if you can control Rio Grande do Sul, you will have a very safe area there. 6 and 7 for the +4 in Llanos, which is a first turn bonus. After all, he could even triple pick it in Pebas, but then he wouldn't have enough blockade cards to get rid of those negative income. Then the 8 and the 9, a bit too late in California to combo it. The 10 in southeastern Great Plains, which is okay. It's income without any negative, so you should prioritize it somehow. And he left 13 and 14 very too late, so he will never get them. He might get a counter here in the south. So let's see what we got after that first turn. We split the Lima territory, and I get California pretty safe for me to expand on. I was surprised to be alone in Woodlands Coast, and now I had to decide if I would do the +2 or start working on the +4 immediately. The +2 is good for second turn income, but then it will take a very long time for you to deploy enough to keep expanding. And the main problem on Biomes, at least I usually feel it, is that you don't seem to have any income whatsoever on turn 2 and turn 3, and you always have like one or two contested areas that you need to deploy on, and you don't have any deployment even to expand. So it's really hard to get income early on Biomes. So it's very hard to decide if you should prioritize in keeping your position, contesting the opponent, or if you should just keep expanding and pray that your opponent doesn't wipe you from key places, and just then you can out expand your opponent possibly. So very hard turn here for me. I think that Risky Business had advantage at this point. He would definitely have advantage if he would clean me up from Chiclayo, but I don't think that's what he did in the end. Let's take a look at what he actually did. He fully deployed there, but he ended up going for the +4 instead, which is good. It's high income. Y'all also blockades behind him on Asuncion and Ciudad Coyana. And we are already on turn 2. I ended up going for the Woodlands coast, as you can see. On the second turn, I decided to finish California because I really needed income. I knew I was risking getting eliminated from Chiclayo, but at the same time, I needed to put pressure on this São Paulo and Rio position here. So I decided to take Goiás, and this can be doubtful. What I wanted to do was try to bait risky business into attacking that, while at the same time I get one more income, and at the same time I bait him to attack it so he can have negative income, while I will from their point on focus on Bahia or break Minas Gerais. But as you can see, I was pretty bad in terms of position here in Chiclayo, and I knew that he was there, and I knew that he finished Llanos. I knew I was behind on income, so I need to do something. That's why I went for California this turn to make sure that I would have enough income to remain there. So let's see what happens next turn. I deploy on the north. Needed to keep expanding. Always keep expanding. At least if not for anything else, to get a card piece. You can't miss out on the card pieces, otherwise you will be behind on the sanctions card. Yeah, I just decided to try to get Minas Gerais and just forgo Chiclayo completely. I actually tapped him and went back into Lima. And my plan was that I can go back and either threaten further into Arequipa or sidestep into Santa Cruz and force him to do some sort of dance around here where he would not know where to have his big stack. And as you can see, it paid out my risky deployment. He was afraid to attack me first turn in Chiclayo, so he didn't manage to wipe me out. And I managed to get Minas Gerais, so now I was actually ahead on income, which was a bit strange. I knew I need to keep expanding though, so always deploy 2 to keep going on East Coast. And at the same time, try to stay alive in Lima somehow, and this is where I decided to go for the sidestep in Santa Cruz, and it worked out because he tried to tap me instead of attacking head on. Bad decision. And I was giving him income advantage at this point, but it was fine because I still was forcing him to deploy on a zone that he already fully controls. Or, well, not fully controls, but he already has all the territories, areas completed there that he can possibly complete. So deploying more there won't give him anything extra. It will just eliminate me. And if I can buy that little time to keep expanding somewhere else or put more pressure somewhere else, that's always good. So that's what I did. I kept expanding on East Coast. I kept putting the pressure onto São Paulo and dancing around. Also started moving my leftovers back so I can start working on Alaska coastline. Eventually hammered on São Paulo, reducing his stack, forcing him to deploy there or forgo another +4 bonus, which would be great for me. Next turn, he's forced to put into São Paulo. He tries to predict that I'm gonna hit Quito, but I don't. I sidestep to San Ambrosio. I knew he would attack Santa Cruz probably first turn. He doesn't do first turn. He never did first turn. It's one of the highest criticisms that I can give risky business on this particular play out. He never attacked with a stack full turn. He always expected me to deploy heavily and was always weary of attacking me full on. And that allowed me to keep having pressure on São Paulo. This turn I actually deploy because I knew I could probably get away with it. So I fully deploy in San Ambrosio, expecting him to fully deploy in San Paulo, and I don't do anything. I don't attack anything at all. Just expect him to run into me. He doesn't run into me though. He just finishes the +1 behind him, which for me it's okay. I'm ahead on income at this point. We're now in turn 7. Fully deploy there, and now I'm risking getting eliminated. Luckily, he only attacks with a tap. He doesn't attack full on. So once again, I'm left there. I was expecting him to attack with a big stack and just end up with a big stack in San Ambrosio, which is pretty useless for him. Only thing he can do with San Ambrosio is to get Juan Fernandez. So I was fine for him wasting so many armies just to get the clear out of San Ambrosio. And the longer that I'm here, the more I have like a dual threat that I can like fully deploy and break to one of them if I have enough income to do so. This turn I decide to try to get the territory in the south. Don't quite get it, and now I think it's the one I get. No, he still, this one still he doesn't deploy. He's still afraid that I fully deploy and he runs into a wall. On this turn I finally deploy hard in San Ambrosio again. And this time he runs into a wall. Twice. So this gives me, once again, advantage on this position. Because again, I have 2 places that I can attack. And he has to defend both of them. Because he will, if he loses Santa Cruz, he will risk also getting broken in Quito. So that was the problem. And meanwhile, I finished East Coast and I finished Alaska coastline. So now I have a lot more income than he does. So this was pretty much the turnaround, was his hesitation attacking me on San Ambrosio, I believe. So I was a bit lucky on this game overall. I concede that much. If he was more aggressive, he could have wiped me out earlier. I went back just to still stay alive on this position, force him to bring his stack down. And my idea was, if I force him to bring his stack down, either I will force him to deploy, try to do some sort of trickery, have income advantage, so that can work out depending on the situation in Sao Paulo, or I can just go into Revilla, Guidego, and Clipperton Island, and then threaten from the north, and his stack will not be close enough to be useful. Next turn, I walk into Revilla Gallego. I still can't take Sao Paulo. He finally manages to wipe me out from Juan Fernandez. And he's not moving at all in the center, on the north of America, which I would expect him to do so. I was expecting him to show up in New Orleans anytime soon, but he just wasn't expanding. And if you don't expand on biomes, you're pretty much dead. So that was pretty much game. He decided to hold back in Rio Grande. That didn't really matter much. I just kept hammering, kept expanding. I show up in Clipperton Island and Jefferson City. And do some minor attacks here. I will actually blockade Revilla Gallego, try to attack on Clipperton Island just to force him to deploy there. And also minimally attack from Jefferson Spoon, because it's not like direct threat to my income, so I don't really care. And I fully deploy in Sao Paulo to try to break Rio Grande do Sul, which I do manage to get it, and I think at this point he will surrender. Yep, and he surrenders here. So I was a bit lucky on this game, I can see that, but Biomes is such a complicated map to play out, and Risky Business can play Biomes pretty well. I have suffered some losses against Risky Business on Biomes before, if my memory is not mistaken. So it was a good win for me. Managed to score me 6.41 elo. It's pretty darn good. Had a nasty loss against ElDuderino in what's this template called? Check the name. northern Vanatu Islands, and it's full fog, so you can't really see. And you have 4 starting spots or 10 starting spots. I don't remember anymore. And you can see by this layout, there's a very inviting Mount Tambuwasaman, but you can counter it somehow from Sarautu. So I figured maybe I should go for safe income first in Undine Bay, then go for the combo here, combo or counter, and then try to get more safe income in Central if I'm not sure if this was the best pick strategy that I could do. Um, could have went for 4 picks in Montabuwasana instead, but if he had like 1 there, he would be in advantage over me. Could also do like triple pick around Cumberland Peninsula to both counter Mount Tuwensana and get a +2 income with minimal deployment. But that would be 3 picks in the north, and then I would have no picks in either of the first 10 bonuses down here. So that's why I decided to go for 1-2 in Undine Bay instead, because it was uncontested. And you don't even have, well, you have a double border from the summit, but it's really hard or not very convenient to get. This was my picks. ElDuderino went for 1-2 in Central Ifate, which I can't agree with because he has a direct counter in Imaut Fer. So that's why Undine Bay is better, in my opinion. And then he went 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 in Mount Toboesama. So either he gets it or he counters it somehow, or tries to stall it, or has a position to drop a bomb and deny something. I don't know. So yeah, I think my picks were better, but I might be biased. Let me know what you guys think on the comments below. This is what we got on the distribution, and this is fog, so this is what you actually see. And at this point, I figure, okay, he's gonna try to get Central Ifati because he needs income. One of the first rules from Warzone, get income. If you don't get income, it's impossible to break your opponent's territories. So always prioritize getting income first and then expanding, because even if someone breaks you, the more that they are doing is keeping things equal, because none of you will have income. So yeah, always try to get income first. That's one of the golden rules I learned a long time ago, and I think it still mostly applies in except in very weird circumstances. So I knew I had to deploy 2 in Undine Bay, and then I had a decision to either try to get Turtle Bay or try to deny Central Ifati. And this is what I ended up doing. I ended up going for the +1 and then just try to tamp. I bombed, actually, try to make sure that he would not have enough income to get both territories. But unfortunately, he has order priority on me, and he hit me from Namoru, so I failed to get my +1, which would give me, if I would have gotten it, I would have gotten income advantage for sure. And this was quite a blow. From that, I failed to get Tatafo, and he ends up clearing Namoro. We swap taps. Actually, I didn't tap him at all, only he tapped me. And he actually attacks North Ematfor, which was a bad call. If I was him, I wouldn't have done that. He's just wasting armies attacking neutrals. Why do you attack neutrals if you're not finishing a territory? You're just exposing a double border. That doesn't make much sense. In this particular layout, since there is a bomb, it doesn't make much sense to move your income to the border that can be bombed either. So I think that these 3 should just have sit there and just wait for a good opportunity to be used, instead of bringing them to the border or attacking a neutral. But maybe he could also be afraid of not getting any card piece. I don't know. Anyways, next turn, I decide to go full on into Tatafo because I know he's gonna get Mount Taboesama this turn. He has to, and it's impossible for me to clear him out from Central Itafe. The most I could do is like deny him that income, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna focus on Mount Taboesama, and indeed, I believe I was correct. He just taps me twice, which is fine. I don't care. I reach there with a big staff in Tatafo. And this is the critical turn here. Clearly, I already used my bomb. He hasn't used this bomb, so he's probably gonna use it on Tatafo to make sure that he can get good position. But if I deploy so much there that it's more than he has on one of the borders, I should be fine. So let's switch into the perspective and see what he deployed here. So he deployed fully into this one in Namoro instead of splitting, and he bombed me. So 6. So if I have first action into Lape, I can break it. I don't have first action. He has first action again. I think this is cyclic move order. I'm gonna check real quick, but I think it is. Yeah, cyclic move order. So he knew that he had first order. So that was lucky of him. Luckily for me, I didn't get broken. So that's a positive thing, I guess. And now I have another opportunity, and he doesn't have bomb anymore. So now if I pick the right door, I should be able to break through. I don't have vision on his income there. I used the reconnaissance card down here, I believe. And now I try to deny him the income here as well, because I know I'm pretty much screwed on the north anyways. And he attacks me first, so I can't even do that. Managed to hang on in Tatafo though, which is good, but now he has income advantage over me, so I figured the game is pretty much lost. I have one last opportunity to do something, break him in either both places or just the +4. So I decided to put all my bags on the +4 basket. I deploy fully into Tatafo. He deploys fully into Lape. I have first order and I ran into a wall, so 50-50 chance of picking the right turn. I picked the wrong one. If I would have broken him here on this turn, he would have been down 4 income, so I would have had advantage 7-6 and would probably be able to break one of his other incomes in the south here. So yeah, a pretty unfortunate game. I mean, I could have picked better. I could have made some smarter decisions in one or two places, but I don't think he really deserved this win, and it's really took a big blow to my elo. I think I lost 10 with this. Yeah, 10. So if it's the problem when you're in top 50. You win one game and you get like 1 elo, 2 elo. If you're lucky, you get like 6 elo if it's a strong opponent, and if you lose like 10 because everyone's pretty much below you. So whatever opponent you get, you will lose 10 elo if you lose. Only if you're playing against a higher opponent will you not lose as much. So yeah, those were the couple of games that I had. I guess we can still do one quick more. Maybe the one I just had against Nemo, that was pretty decent as well. Nemo is just slightly behind me, so I got some good elo out of this. I decided to go for 1-2 and get a combo in Egypt, and then I knew I also needed safe income, so I wanted to go either Dalmata or Baetica, and I knew that the southern Gaul was a very hot zone, so I deployed everything else here. So if I was contested, and I would most likely be either in the 1 or the 2 or the 4, I would end up with a pick here, which would be my dream pick. I would be able to contest or deny southern Gaul from Nemo. So this is what we got. Actually, we should take a look at the Nemo's picks. He went for 1 in Arabia, 2 in Dalmatia. So he actually had intel that I was there. 3 in Numidia, and then 4 or 5 in Southern Gaul, and 6 in Baetica. Overall, his picks are okay. I don't think they are wrong. I'm not sure if I agree with the 3. I mean, it's okay. But I think if you go there, you should actually have also Zama and be able to get either the +3 on the first turn or the +2 without any deployment, and then have position on the 2 other places. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The might have been a better idea to go for the plan that he seems to be wanting to have, like safety here. So I think it would work. The picks are okay. The problem wasn't the picks. So this is what we got in the end. He got contested Southern Gaul. I had 2 safe incomes, and I could surprise him in Arabia. So this is what I decided to play. Both of us expanded slow. And from the deployment, I knew that he had a +2. So I was pretty sure that he was in Numidia already. So I was wondering, if he has Leptis Magna by some reason to attack without deployment, I'm pretty much screwed. But he can't have Leptis Magna because he wouldn't have deployed that much if he had so. He could also have like 2 picks in Africa and have deployed 2 of them to go Utica, Tapsus, and the 5 would have attacked Hippo Regius, something like that, and he wouldn't have Bona at all. So those were the 2 scenarios. Either he had 5 income, so he was ahead of me, or he had the same income as I had. This is what I knew at this point. I decided to deploy pretty much everything on the top there and just go minimally into Pelusium. I didn't want to get eliminated. And he was expanding meanwhile, which I think is smart. Was lucky not to get eliminated there, but I think it was okay. It was a good risk. I also started getting Egypt, so I could try to get it either slow or fast, depending on how much deployment he would have or the situation in Southern Gaul. Seeing how much he deployed, I was weary that he had both Africa and Numidia by now. So I was weary that he had a lot of deployment. And this felt very risky this turn. I decided to deploy on Naucraticus to try to get Egypt, but I was very weary that he would break me in Pelusium. Fortunately, I deployed just enough. The other idea was that he, instead of deploying in Palestina, he could just have deployed in Lugdunum and try to wipe me out from Valentia instead, which would be better for me. I wouldn't mind that as much because I still have access there either from Baetica or from Dalmatia. So I had that doubt. Luckily, he didn't deploy enough to, or didn't have enough income to finish me off from Pelusium. So now I have income advantage over him. Even though I'm a bit behind on stack and I'm risking getting eliminated from Valentia. He fully deploys, tries to break me, but fails. And I break him in Sinai with a late attack, which is great for me. Now I have definitely income advantage. Still risk getting eliminated from Valencia, but I still don't really care that much. I decide to sidestep on the first action. You will see it here. He hammers me. He hammers me hard on Pelusium, but it's already too late for him to be able to eliminate me or break me from there. I sidestepped on first action to Aventicum. I don't. Does this have cyclic move order? No, it doesn't. It's random, so I was counting on being first. And meanwhile, I started expanding a little bit on Pannonia as well, just slowly getting it and see if I could afford to get it or not. But things looked a bit dire because he kept hammering Pelusium, was risking eliminating from Aventicum. So I decided not to deploy that much into the north, just try to keep my position optimum, and if I remain with income advantage, eventually I will have more armies than he will. Um, this turn he goes back into Petra, and tries to wipe me out from Southern Gaul and succeeds. So well played from him there. Now I knew I had advantage in Pelusium, but I was very confused. Why was he still in Petra? Why didn't he blockade from there if he was letting go of Arabia? And I started thinking maybe he doesn't have Numidia and Africa. Maybe somehow he has Ponticia, which is strange, but that's the only other +5 that is available. So what else could he have? But I concluded it was Numidia and Africa, but I decided, okay, even if he shows up in Leptis Magna, I can blockade in Pelusium and I still clear out this part of the map and get myself income. So it's okay, I'm gonna risk and keep hammering, expecting him to either do a small blockade or get eliminated. He doesn't deploy much because on Petra, because he's finishing his bonuses. I know he's finishing his bonuses, so I also finish mine real quick and start making my way towards Southern Gaul. At this point, I really expected him to have blockaded Petra and come into Leptis Magna. I told him so on the chat later on. He also tries to go for the northern part of France, which is it makes sense. And here I try to predict that he will blockade or attack Palestina, either blockade or attack Palestina and storm into Leptis Magna while finishing his other bonus. And he doesn't do any of that. He just runs away, which was weird. Which is quite weird. He does finish Northern Gaul, but I'm already there with a big stack, so I can very much easily kill him off. When he went into Judea, I actually started thinking again, could he really have possibly have Ponticia and now he's finishing the +4? But the math didn't add up from the first turns. The first turns, his deployment and his expansion was all about Numidia and Africa, so it didn't make any sense. Anyways, with this position, I just decided to try to eliminate him from Judea. I did get first action, so that was easy. Still didn't show up in Leptis Magna, so great. I knew he would defend in Aventicum because I knew he most probably had Northern Gaul, so I decided to go hard into either Valentia or Massilia, which pays off. Manages to break him, and at this point the game was already pretty much over. Even if he has income advantage, he would need to go hard into Leptis Magna. I could still blockade behind me in Pelusium, and I could definitely threaten his main income. So the game is pretty much dead at this point. But was an interesting game. I really enjoyed playing it, and it's nice to play against people that are on the same rank as you are because it's more fun. It's more fun. It's more challenging, and it's not as frustrating. Even if you lose, you don't feel like you lost against a noob that got lucky. You lost against someone that's actually on your rank, and you don't lose like 10 elo. You lose like 5 or 6 or something like that. Anyways, those are the 3 games that I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think on the comments below. If there was any particular turn that I played particularly badly, feel free to let me know. And yeah, hope to catch you guys on the quick match on Warzone at some point. Bye bye everyone. Take care.